Everybody, Earl at thelogbook.com, just sitting at the helm, exploring the universe, and for this latest edition of Voyages of Shelf Discovery, it seems like that is an appropriate thing to do if you happen to have the Star Trek Starfleet Academy Combadge from Fansets. Let's go ahead and open this thing up, although obviously it's already open. And really, with most of Fansets stuff, there's not much opening to it. It's bagged again, it's carded. This is one of the magnetic pins that Fansets produces. So, since there is a backing piece that has about as much metal as the front, it is heavier than the pinback version. But I have gotten to where I much prefer the magnetic ones. The detail on this is lovely. I absolutely have no complaints about this. Again, we said this was the magnetic version of the Starfleet Academy Delta. So you've got one large magnet and two smaller magnets holding it together. So it does have just a little bit of weight to it, but the detail and the finish is just amazing. You will notice this one has 4 pips on it, so this is the captain's badge. Hopefully there will be some cadet badges in the future from Fansets. I wouldn't put it past them. A Koosh quality assurance check. Well, now we know we're in good shape. Comparing this to some of Fansets' other magnetic deltas, it's kind of deceptively small if you put it next to, say, the Voyager Combadge or the Next Gen Combadge. I don't know if you could tell, but in between there's also the Star Trek II Officer's Delta, which obviously dwarfs this one, except that one spreads out horizontally. The Starfleet Academy version of this is very vertically oriented, which, incidentally, is perfectly in line with the time frame that the show occurs in, which is post-Star Trek Discovery. So, once you put it next to the 32nd Century Discovery Delta, then it makes a bit more sense why this form factor was chosen. But vertically, it is as tall as the Voyager or Next Gen version of this, and that's great. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what these are attached to, periodic reminder, as I sometimes provide, and these were around like 15, 20 years ago, the Open Road brand's metal signs based on the Gold Key Star Trek comics are a great place to display the Fansets magnetic pins. First off, the magnets are already powerful. You put these things on there, they are not going anywhere unless you move them. And so that's kind of my chosen method for displaying these. So, really no complaints here. Fansets does amazing work on these, and the detail and the finish are about as authentic as you can get, unless you had a screen-used prop. In fact, these are probably manufactured to a slightly higher standard than the screen-used props, because they have to look and feel shiny for real, and not just appear that way on TV. So absolutely no complaints there. A very welcome addition to the collection. Something that can also be said for Starfleet Academy itself. There's been a lot of vitriol directed at this show, and that's about the nicest way I could put it. And recently it was discovered that at least one quote-unquote fan news site was recruiting people on LinkedIn who hate the show. It's like, no, the qualification for getting this paid position writing about Starfleet Academy is that you have to hate Starfleet Academy. Okay, that's... you could tell right there that we've learned all the wrong lessons from the past few election cycles. Starfleet Academy, to me at least, fits nicely alongside the other shows, and the idealism that just oozes from every episode of the first season, which just concluded, is worthy of the name, in my opinion. The cast knows what they're doing. The writers, especially, really know what they're doing. It feels like all the lessons from the other Star Trek streaming shows, all of that very hard-won experience has informed how this show is being constructed, and I'm here for it. I can't wait for season 2, frankly. As for... there has been a lot of ire directed at, it's CW Trek, or, for those who are really wanting to show their age, it's 90210 Trek. I think it'd be more accurate to say maybe it's young adult skewing Trek. That's not a bad thing, though. Let me walk you through my reasoning on this, because this is something I've had to explain a number of times. So I've had plenty of opportunity to kind of practice this spiel. We should be aiming Star Trek at a younger audience now, and not just trying to fan service the old fan base. And here's why. Old fans like me, people who grew up on reruns of TOS, and people who watched The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise in real time, guess what? We're old. We've also made up our minds about who we are and whether or not we are taking seriously the ideals that were put forth in all of those shows. We've decided who we are, and in my age group and older, we may no longer be teachable. People may no longer be taking on new information. Kind of sad, I think, because learning constantly is a really good way to keep your brain alive. Semi-alive, anyway, possibly in my case. The younger part of the audience that is not as familiar with Star Trek, they are still making those choices. Now is absolutely the time to put those values before that younger audience. Whether you're talking about Starfleet Academy, whether you're talking about Star Trek Prodigy, which I very much miss, it behooves us to put these values on the table before that young audience and let them decide, okay, yes, this is a fictional universe, but there is a code of ethics put forth in this fictional universe that you could choose to follow now if you want to see anything like that future. The older fan base, we've already decided whether we're doing that or not. The younger fan base, prospective fans, new fans, fans to be, they're still deciding. And the times that we are going through right now is These times are kind of the product of the push and pull between people who are like, yes, a more compassionate worldview is what we want to do, and people who want the absolute exact opposite of that level of inclusion and empathy. So, yeah, if I had a say in it, yeah, absolutely. All the Star Trek that comes out in the future should be aimed at a younger audience. I am not interested in year one rehashing the Captain Kirk era. I'm not interested in Star Trek Legacy continuing the developments from the third season of Star Trek Picard. I'm not interested in those because all they're doing is just building extra scaffolding onto stories already told that will only appeal to an older fan base. It's time to, if you want the universe and the franchise to continue and expand, you're going to have to bring in new blood. And you're going to have to give them something worth showing up for, and something to make them think. Anyway, all of that is a whole lot of words for saying I have tremendously enjoyed Starfleet Academy. The first season was an absolute banger, and sure, it may not be for everyone, but I also do not honestly believe that all of the spite being directed toward the show is real. Some of it seems very manufactured, but not manufactured as well as this pin. Thanks for watching.